Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Brothers channel, and this is my performance review of the Adidas D Rose 11. So shout out to Derrick Rose. This is his 11th signature shoe with Adidas. Not many people, first of all, have signature shoes, and then an even smaller amount of people have 10 signature shoes with the company. So that's a very big milestone. So congratulations, Derrick Rose. But anyways, the D Rose 11 is going for 120 bucks. So if you guys do want to cop, I'll leave a link in the description box. And that price is pretty interesting because the next level, which uses pretty much the same exact cushioning setup and the outsole kind of, and that shoe was 200 bucks, 180 bucks. It was ridiculously expensive. So I don't really understand the pricing there. But anyways, let's get it started off with the tracciones. So this traction pattern looks pretty familiar. If you're familiar with Derrick Rose's like older shoes, or I guess like his line, so this traction pattern looks very similar to the D Rose 7, which had god tier traction, like one of the best traction patterns that I've ever played with. And does the D Rose 11 bite as good as the D Rose 7? I don't know. Sorry, I could not play on the indoor court with this shoe. The only thing I can go on is from my wood floors here in my apartment, and seems to have a very good bite. And I played, of course, on outdoor court, and the bite was really good. And of course, some of you may be thinking, of course, like concrete outdoor courts, all shoes have good traction, right? That's actually not the case. You know, I've been testing a good amount of shoes outdoors, and surprisingly, there's a good amount of shoes, a good number of shoes that don't have good traction on the outdoor court. And also another thing that's surprising is that those same exact shoes, you know, when the quarantine was kind of over and the gym was kind of open, I tried those same shoes on the indoor court and they weren't the best on the indoor court either. So it's kind of directly correlated. Like most shoes that I've tried, if it has a good bite on the outdoor court, most of the time it had a good bite on the indoor court. So take it with a grain of salt, but the D Rose 11, I'm guessing, is going to be good on the indoor court. But like I said, outdoor court, really good bite, super consistent. I didn't slide out really ever, even on hard stops. Like from my experience, there's a good amount of shoes that have good traction on outdoor court. But then when I did like a very hard lateral movement, or just like a hard movement in general, it would slide out a little bit. But the D Rose 11 was solid. The traction I really didn't have to worry about at all when I was playing with it. So of course that's a really good thing. The durability also was not bad. You know, when I first got it, I was like, I don't really know if it's gonna be good because the rubber seems pretty soft. The tread is pretty damn thin as well. But besides, I guess here, where the high wear area is, like where the ball of my foot is, even there it's pretty good. But then overall, it's actually holding up very well. So durability, I feel like even on the outdoor court, you should be good to go in the D Rose 11. Alright, moving on to the heel to toe transition. Is absolutely atrocious. I don't like it. So of course, if you've played in the next levels and you didn't mind it, then of course you're not really gonna mind the D Rose 11. But for me, I don't like this flat shape. I absolutely hate it. And for me personally, it's kind of a deal breaker, you know? So here in the heel, it's pretty damn flat, but it's not super clunky in the heel because of how much compression there is from the cushion. So that's not bad, right? But then, well, once you come here into the forefoot like this, it's a slapper, right? So when you're running down the court, you can kind of like hear the shoe slap. And I don't like that. And there's not a whole lot of curve here in the forefoot, but that's okay because, I mean, there is a good amount of flex here. So I mean, like I don't like that slapping sensation. You know, I like to have a very smooth rocking motion, kind of like in the Clyde All Pro. It was really nice in those. I'm sure there's people that don't really care about that, so if you don't, you know, it's not a huge deal. But for me, I don't really like it all too much. Moving on to the cushioning setup, they're using a full length light strike cushion, and it feels awesome, especially here in the heel. There's a lot of compression. Light strike is fairly bouncy, so that feels nice here in the heel. The forefoot is pretty much dead. You don't really get anything in the forefoot, and the underfoot cushioning isn't that nice either. So they're using a very thin insole, of course, you know, like Adidas always uses. And then the struggle board is really solid, like a rock. I cannot believe how solid it is. So Yeah, underfoot cushioning, you don't really feel the soft light strike, which kind of sucks, but you know, I do like the heel cushion. So impact protection is really nice. Court feel is good. Here in the heel, it's a little high up off the ground, and then here in the forefoot, it's lower. So you do have a pretty significant offset, but the overall cushion is really nice. The only thing I would have changed is, of course, the strobo board. Please, Adidas, just put a softer strobo board in your shoes. I mean, it's not that hard. You guys do it in your Ultra Boost, like the netted strobo board in the Ultra Boost. I mean, Adidas is like the only company where the strobo board is just so stiff, you know, in like most of their shoes. So I wish they would change that up. Moving on to the materials. The materials are probably my least favorite part about this shoe. So, I mean, in hand, it's not bad. You know, it's a very, very thin material, but it's not nice. As you guys know, usually I don't really care about materials all too much, as long as it's thin, as long as it feels pretty nice on foot and it conforms to your foot pretty well. I don't mind it, you know, even if the material quality is not that nice, right? But for some reason here in the D Rose 11, I could definitely feel that it was really, really cheap. You know, it feels super flimsy on foot and it just didn't feel nice on foot. But a good thing about it is that it's very, very thin and very, very minimal. So I guess it has that going for it. Here on the tongue, there's really no padding besides a little pod of padding here on top of the tongue. And then in the ankle area, you have a good amount of padding, especially kind of like in the ankle area here. So that feels very nice. But the overall materials, I didn't really like all too much. Alright, as far as the fit goes, the fit also was pretty bad for me, right? So D Rose's never really fit me well. I don't know why. Maybe he just has a really, really different shaped foot than mine. But this shoe, there's a good amount of toe space and that doesn't feel nice. There's a little bit of length, so I would suggest going down half a size, but just be careful because it's not like super long. It's just a little bit long. And as far as the width goes, it's pretty wide actually. So the fit is definitely not for me. I like a really snug fit here in the toe box and I like a very narrow shoe as well. So this shoe just didn't fit me well. If you have a wide foot or you like to have a little bit of a roomier fit, then this shoe is probably the way to go. Alright, as far as the support and lockdown goes, I had no issues with lateral containment. We have this plastic piece here that kind of cages the midsole and comes around into the heel and kind of wraps around all the way here onto the medial side of the heel. And that cages you here in the heel and also in the midfoot. There's really kind of nothing here in the forefoot. The foam does come up a little bit to act as a cage, and this overall material is pretty supportive. So lateral containment was good. And lateral stability was insane too. Like if you look at the shoe, look at how much the rubber protrudes out and the cushion protrudes out here in the forefoot. So lateral stability is really, really good. And like I said, it's a very, very flat outsole. As for the ankle support, even though this material does go over your ankle bone, I didn't really feel a whole lot of ankle support. I actually felt a good amount of freedom in my ankle. So not really gonna get a whole lot of ankle support. Of course, I believe D Rose wears ankle braces. I did try this shoe out with ankle braces and it fits. So if you do wear an ankle brace, you should be okay with this shoe. All right, moving on to the weight of the D Rose 11, 13.26 ounces. So that's a little bit heavier than normal. The average weight of my shoes is around 12.5 ounces. And this shoe, it doesn't feel super heavy like I said because of how minimal the upper feels here in the toe box, right? It's just super duper thin. There's not a whole lot of padding here in the shoe besides in the ankle area, and it's not even like that much, you know? But like for me, in my experience, the fit, like I said, wasn't the best and there was a little bit of room, so my foot was moving around in the shoe a little bit. And then the heel to toe transition not being super smooth. And it's just like the foam protrudes out a good amount here in the heel. Look at how thick it is, right? So it just felt like bottom heavy and a little bulky here in the heel, and I didn't really like how it felt. And I was testing this shoe alongside the Puma Clyde All Pro, and personally for me, the Puma Clyde All Pro felt so much better on foot, a lot lighter, better heel to toe transition and all that. So yeah, personally for me, I didn't really feel very quick when I was playing with this shoe. Alright, as far as ventilation goes, ventilation is pretty good, you know. You have a little bit of airflow through the screen mesh here on the lateral and medial side. Like if you blow through it, there's a little bit of airflow. So my foot was well ventilated here in this shoe. Moving on to the aesthetics, I kind of like it, you know, it's definitely up there. It looks 100 times better than Next Levels, I'd say. The Next Levels look not the best in my opinion, especially that laceless design, but the D Rose 11 kind of like switched it up and put laces on the shoe, and it actually looks very, very nice. So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, the D Rose 11, I don't know guys. My favorite D Rose is probably the 7. The 6 was super nice too with the boost. And then it kind of fell off for me personally. I wasn't a huge fan of any of his like later shoes, and same goes for the D Rose 11. You know, like I said, it takes that form factor from the Next Levels, which I wasn't a fan of. But again, as a reminder, if you didn't mind the Next Levels and you guys tried it out, I'm pretty sure most of you guys have tried it out, probably because it is an older shoe. And if you didn't mind it, then you probably will not mind the D Rose 11. And if you have a wider foot and you like to have a roomier fit, this shoe then will probably be way better for you than it was for me. So yeah, personally, I didn't like it, and it's kind of hard for me to recommend. The two good things about this shoe though are the cushion. I guess not the shape, but you know, just like the light strike cushion and how it feels, and the traction. The traction was really good. But anyways, that about wraps up my review for the D Rose 11. If you guys do want to cop, I'll leave a link in the description box. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.